first time ever, but all I'm saying is this. Everyone says the world we come from. I've been in a fight club here in Detroit my whole life. So as far as meetings, proposals, arguments, trying to settle, dude, I know. Okay, what this lady said earlier, she's not here now, you guys are occupied, you don't understand the power that you've got, and that you have this persona of a split, and this and that. But you know the split is human nature, and the split is happening. If Occupy doesn't like it or not, they've already done it. So, a line has to be drawn for PR purpose only. What I hear here is mother love, the respect that I do. I went there to Michigan Avenue, the young energy, the gung-ho vision, okay. It doesn't melt into the General Assembly life, so they've chosen to make their own move in their own little organization to promote the same thing generally that Occupy does. And that's their message. But as far as I understand, the Occupy lifestyle is whoever comes, everyone's welcome, the free forum GAs. If a person comes in from another organization, they appreciate acknowledgement that they are, hey, I'm from BAM, I'm from AFL, CIO, whatever. As long as the movement says you identify yourself, you're welcome regardless. Appreciation of identification that you are involved with another organization, and so as long as everybody knows. And I feel that's what the only stumbling block they had, was to let everybody know and have it be accepted. Therefore, my point is this. It has to be done for PR reasons, that there's a Unify and Occupy are two different entities to be able to exist in a successful movement and acceptance from the public. And that's really important at this point. I'm glad everyone loves each other, they got no animosities, peace, love, do your thing. But as far as the outside world goes, and that's all I've ever lived, is wondering what they're going to do to me, is the outside world with our Occupy movement, now it's out there. They made a flyer, they emailed it, they made their announcement. We are Unified Detroit on Michigan Avenue and all that. Because of that, there has to be a public awareness. There's a separation of Occupy Detroit and Unified Detroit as entities, as a donation, separate in their mind. Figure that one out, we got a list. Everyone will be happy. But PR is so important right now. That lady we never seen, I never seen her, she brought her up. It's out there. That's got to be repaired. That's utmost importance. That's it. All right.
Love you.
Great. Thanks for your participation today, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to teach you, I went to racial sensitivity to people I know what you went to.
Racial sensitivity.
Well, I don't know where everybody is, or just people decided to leave or whatever, but yeah, you had a direct response to Sarah. Go ahead, and I'll go next.
The very last thing before I was ready, Sarah announced that a long time ago, Trevor had initiated a conflict resolution working group. There were about 5 of us that signed up for that. We started some dialogue, but most of us that signed up for that, apart from Trevor, were very engaged in other pieces of Occupy, and so it never really got going. And then it kind of fell off the map. And Trevor just yesterday sent an email to the 5 of us saying, please just return to my town, and is there still a need for this? So I knew we were meeting today, and I didn't have time to link to let you know if we need or not. But what I would like to say to this group is, if any of you are interested in working with Trevor, I can help connect you with him for that conflict resolution.
Okay. All right. So to speak a little bit to what was going on from people who could not be here, which I think is part of the problem, actually. Sonia Ferris, Nicole. There were a lot of people that, when this whole thing got started, like, in order to try to put it into perspective, I had to go way back on Facebook to like the beginning of November. It took me literally an hour of scrolling to find the very first thread about the topic. And when it was posted, it was actually a post starting with somebody being angry at me Steve Gotti for suggesting that we were leaving the park and saying that, you know, he wasn't our leader. And then it devolved into, well, I'm not happy with the lack of General Assembly, you know, decision-making for this. And then what ended up happening was a whole bunch of, as he said, making stuff up. There were a lot of people there that were basically kind of making assertions. And when they were, you know, when they were called on those assertions, they didn't have any answers. So I said, okay, hold on a second. Can you tell me where you got the information that leads you to the conclusion that this group of people is trying to do this big evil thing? And then they went, no. I'm like, okay, so then maybe you probably shouldn't repeat that because you don't know if that's true and you're just kind of putting it together, right? You know, this is a really important thing that I've seen happen in a lot of different groups, which is why I finally got so sick of trying to resolve things like this and just decided to make a movie about it so that I could educate people about it. But one of the biggest problems with internet communication is, you know, you may have heard the term, if you repeat the lie often enough, it becomes truth. Okay? So if you hear, well, I heard, I mean, that's actually an excellent example. The fellow who was sitting here at the beginning of the meeting said, well, all the information I have about 5900, well, it came from other people. And it all took was a few seconds of this guy sitting across from him to get his questions answered, and then he was satisfied and he left. You know, that didn't happen at 4 General Assemblies. And it didn't happen on the internet either. And the funny thing is, the people who kept maintaining that gossip, somebody from 5900, who went by the name of Lexi, I don't know them in person, clarified and answered so many of the questions that we're already answering now. That already, you know, they were all answered at the start, way back in November. Why did that information never reach anybody else? So then my question is, how much of what happened is because people are enjoying the gossip and the conflict and the, you know, the being in the middle of the drama, and how much of it happened just due to actual failure to communicate on the part of 5900? Because that was right when this started, and the questions of, no, we're not using your money, no, we're not, you know, no, we're not, you know, collecting funds, you know, no, we're not this, no, it was all answered way back then. Yet nobody, for some reason, ever got that, and instead it turned into a big fight over what we think they think, rather than talking directly to them like Sarah said.
I would say for that, I do believe that the one thing I'm working on personally now with Unite Detroit is a stronger internet presence. Because yes, we can answer questions in threads over and over and over again, but that's just one person saying one thing that, yeah, somebody who's critical could read my answer and be like, well, that's just what Patty said. People don't take that as a real answer a lot of times. I think people are just like, well, that's just what she thinks. So there has been a problem with that. If there had been, you know, let's say a website from the very beginning with all these answered questions answered, we could have avoided a lot of this hostility. But we couldn't do that because, as we've all seen, Unite Detroit has evolved, it's changed, and molded so much. Like, we're just now collective, we're just now this. We didn't have the answers. So we didn't have all the answers. And we weren't going to put out a website or a page with answers that may change. So I do believe, yes, there was a lot of failure to communicate from Unite Detroit, but I also think that there was a lot of questions that could not be answered at that time. And the problem with the internet is it's so high speed and so fast that you type in your question and you expect your answer to appear 3 seconds later. And that's just not the way the world works.
I'm going to direct one more time on that because it almost revolves around that, and I'm probably going to shut up. Another major issue that is not being factored in is that a great deal of the people, this also is a problem with camp versus the internet. Okay, what I noticed was that camp didn't have internet. So people on the internet just assume that the people on camp don't care. You know, when the reality is they don't have internet. I mean, it's to the point now, I recognize that issue, and I'm actually going to go try to pay out of my own pocket to get 5900 from internet. Okay?
Internet or person.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so a lot of the perception that they were trying to be secretive is based on the fact they didn't have a way to communicate on Facebook because then these people can get on the internet in the first place. That's it.
That's basically make a great response. You started this as saying that you want to speak up there in response to some people who aren't here. What erroneous assertions do you
heard from, basically from Sonia and also from Nicole to some degree, was there were some questions that were formulated in such a way that they sounded accusatory. That's the language that I saw being used. And Kellyanne did the same thing, which is actually what started me and our little problem, was that basically a lot of assumptions about the motivations that these people had. Are they trying to take over the group? Are they invading the GA? Are they stealing our stuff? Was the kind of stuff that was being moved back and forth in the conversation. And there was only one person from 5900 involved in the conversation, and he kept answering their questions, and for some reason, that has not been sufficient this whole time, and they're still asking the same questions. It's like, you clicked like on the response where I said to her, Sonia, I think the problem is that people are sick of answering the questions that they've already answered, and then being told that those questions were never answered. Okay, because they were. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm not fully up on some of the internet discussion. I guess it's pretty in the air as to what are equal an accusatory question and it's just a question that someone isn't really satisfied with the answer or an answer. I don't know.
Let's totally
I do have Ryder on deck.
Okay.
Fuzzy's been waiting.
So would I. Okay.
And I got you on deck.
What I would like to mention here is, it's funny, today I started writing a response to something that said, and it came out like the Occupy Detroit, and then I was going to write organization, and I totally changed it back to movement, and then I qualified my statement saying, until this organization, if you want to call it such, creates operating procedures that are fairly consistent in how we work, we're not together as an organization. We're an interesting movement of people. And I really think that before we start addressing other organizations and moving around houses, I believe what Mark was saying, unfortunately, I wasn't in the room when Mark had his opportunity to address, but we really need to unify what we do so that when we walk into a room, we are a force that's unified together and working on a common set of goals. And it really is goal-based that we need to work toward. We need results-driven conversation, not controversy. If there's controversy, it's got to be, okay, what's the result we're looking for out of this controversy? Let's explore the options and find something that we can use, that we can feel is what we want to do. And sometimes the we becomes bigger than the me. And if we can't work toward we, I suggest me leads.
I have Frank on deck, who will step away again. So we can go to 7.
Okay. I love what you guys are doing to bring clarity to the situation. This is a little off topic. I'm planning a bicycle trip to St. Petersburg, Florida. Getting a blog together, kickstart, trying to get some supplies. I was shooting for Monday, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I think my wife's till January 1st. But I'm just letting everyone know. I'm just going to bring it to the GA. I'll have links to the websites. So any support would be greatly appreciated.
Who's that?
Yeah, I'm going to map out all the occupies on the way. Literally on the way. I know the places I want to stop. I'm just going to stick right next to that.
Can you write it like a press release?
Yeah, I'm still working
toward that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Rick's MIA, we're moving on to Ryder. You guys are
Okay, let me briefly do the comments. My name is Ryder. On the 10th of October, we met and we decided what we were going to do. What we were going to do on the 14th was occupy Grand Central Park. Unfortunately, we never worked out what to do after we occupied Grand Central Park. And some of us decided, hey, we don't have a plan. Let's go look at some options, because it's getting cold, shit is getting stolen, we're not getting along, what can we do? And that group got together and thought, and they left. There were some people left behind, and it hurt. It felt bad. They weren't included in the plan. The plan seemed secretive, and it hurt. Okay, so we've got to do two things as far as I'm concerned. We've got to heal that heart. We've got to apologize. We've got to come together and say, okay, we didn't include the whole group in the plan, but this is the plan. This is what we want to do. Then we came up with the idea of affinity groups that allowed us to do what that group had done. So it was okay, but that wasn't enough. It still didn't heal the feeling to the side. People feel hurt. People feel left behind. Regardless of hurt or left behind, we have a place. I promise you, come January, we are going to receive one of the highest honors in the city of Detroit ever. If we can stay together, if we can maintain, we should be concentrating on where we want to go. I don't care where we want to go. I got a shitload of stuff to give to wherever we want to put it. I just talked to Sarah today, got more stuff. Where you want to put it? We're using 59 as a storage. Why just use it as a storage? Why not use it as a meeting place until we decide to go someplace else? Your name is not on the lead. Use it, go whenever you want. We can do whatever we want. But until we find that we have to stay together. We are a symbol. We are a movement. And people see us as a movement, and come January, they're going to honor us as a movement. And we need to come together and find a way to get over hurt feelings, get over who is at a jacuzzi party, get over what happened to are, and come together and heal. Because we meant something to this city, this entire city. North side, south side, east side, west side, downtown. We missed something, and we need to find a way to bring that back. We are intelligent motherfuckers in this room. We are smart and quick. Violent! Why do they have their shit together and we don't? We need to come together and find a deal. If it takes an apology, yes, a fucking apology. If it takes, I'm sorry, give I'm sorry. We just got some food yesterday. It's going to a potluck. It's to share. We got food and clothing now. It's to share. I called Sarah today. It's to share. It's all yours. Where do you want it to go? Where do you want to meet? What do you want to do? That is the most important decision we have to decide. Where are we going to be? And we need to put aside, I got hurt, it's so bad, you were in a jacuzzi, they spray painted, I called the police. We need to get over that shit. We are adults, goddammit, and we are at the front of a very powerful movement. And we are about to get honored up the ass for what we've done so far. We have ignited an entire city. We are part of an organization. It says Occupy Detroit, and it links us to the rest of the world. Where do you want to go from here? Together. I just want to be like, amen.
Okay, everybody, let's go.
Okay, follow back.
Yeah, really.
Well, I'll say this, because I think, like, we should, first, I was saying that I really like and appreciate it, and I think we should do this more often, like, have a time and a space to have, like, real, serious conversations and discussions, because, quite frankly, there are, just on the solution for the 5900 issue is, like, there's a solution now, so let's, like, move it. Yeah. Were there legitimate concerns? Absolutely. I don't have some of those concerns, and they were legitimate. But there's a solution to it now. I feel like the question of where we go, I mean, that was, in reality, unfortunately, that was like the issue underlying all of these things. Yeah. Because what everybody was concerned with was where do we go, not only physically, but as a movement. How can we keep the movement active like it was? Because for a lot of people, the movement wasn't just living outside or camping, right? It was also the rallies and the demonstrations and the marches that we were part of. I think everybody was concerned about that. The problem is because of how the GA is. Anyway, like more discussion, more serious discussion, more long-term discussion is something that we need as a group.
And I really appreciate this process and think that this process should continue in order for us to have discussion about the real issues. Because I feel personally, a lot of the time, when you have questions, there are questions about processes, but it's not really that. Like, there's a policy and a political perspective behind it, and like, we need an opportunity to have a real discussion about what the different perspectives are that exist. I know I have one. and okay, I'm not, but I want to tell it so that people can have the opportunity to agree or not. Like, but I want to make sure that people know that the real issue that is the issue is discussed. And that's one of the ways you not have, the gossip rumor or the gossip train. Unfortunately, me and my family are gossip, you're gossip all the time. Like, I don't care about that. Like, my life, I'm growing or caring because loves me or likes me or cares, and I think most people are like that too. And I feel like, we should use this opportunity to really have a further discussion. But I do want to, and I'm so glad that we have a solution to the problem, at least with this 900. Just so that that's also one of the things. I think people, the GA has made it clear, about prioritizing space downtown and stuff, trying to find other spaces. And anyway, I just think that this is our time to do all of that.
I had a point of information. Yeah, put me on this one.
The one thing I was going to say is we no longer had Cam. We lost Michael Moore coming in to actually do any kind of coverage on Occupy Detroit. Only because we lost Cam. Next, Cam's listening for Are We Valid? We need to prove that listening is totally off base. That we can do more than just have a Cam.
All right, I guess, you want to address the sponsor?
Super quick point of information based on what he said. We passed at GA that we were going to have these meetings to do what he's talking about. There is a system for them that's different than this. It's more of a diplomacy meeting, but you can check that out in the meetings. The minutes, I haven't been able to find them, but to solve what he's talking about, it is now official. We're going to have a gathering. I originally proposed Thursday, but apparently there's a lot of meetings on Thursday, so we might move it to Wednesday. That was it.
I've been talking to Michael Moore. The GA is to pass things, to vote on things. There's nothing stopping us from talking to each other amongst ourselves. You can have my number, you can have my name, we can talk and work things out. It's called caucusing. We need to work together to say what works. There will always be rumors. There were never a lack of rumors. And the problem is we were infiltrated from day one. People have been trying to break up this movement from day one because of the power that it represents. We got election year coming up. We just need to hold together for election year, and everyone will be kissing our ass because we are together. Just hold it together a little while longer. I promise you, come January, we will have validation if we can just stick together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, I just want to say that, everyone here in this room can, agree that we all are in an understanding of 5900. If, as the GA, if anyone brings up 5900, please, all of us, as a community, as a group, should say, hey, we already worked that out. There is no discussion. There's no need for it. Just do it. All right. Yep.
Okay, that's what you're going to do. It's one across the thing now, I'm suggesting it's one across the
Oh, I'm sorry, that was off topic.
All right, yeah, once again, when this issue arose, Tristan, with whether or not to leave camp, I know we had some discussions. You were very vocal about your position then, and my contention then, I just wanted to share this with everybody because not a lot of people present here were not present for that conversation that we had. The different goals in this movement and different directions that are paths that people see to the same end. are not necessarily contradictory. That there are a lot of facets. It's a big-ass problem. A lot of facets to it. That means we have to have a lot of solutions coming forth, and frankly, I think we need to be moving in a lot of different directions at the same time. As chaotic and weird as that sounds, because there are so many pieces to this one big problem, and they all need to be addressed in some manner. So as long as we can maintain that we're still pulling in the same direction, if one group wants to stay in camp, stay in camp. If one group decides they've had it at camp and they're ready to go be productive elsewhere, it's nobody's business to tell them what they can and can't do, why, when, or how.
Get a direct response.
There was something called the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. How we beat Germany at that battle was we split into 3 parts, straight up the middle, and surrounded them on the side and crushed them. We don't have to be doing the same thing to be part of the same movement. We don't have to be. All we have to do, what we need most, central phone number, central location, where people can drop stuff off. Like they called me yesterday and said, where can we drop stuff off? We need shifts, we need people to work shifts to be there to receive stuff. It's all your stuff. What do you want to do with it, and where do you want to go from here? That's the most important thing to decide. It's more important than ethnic sensitivity. It's more important than any other meeting that you're going to have. Where the fuck are you going to be? Where is the group going to be? That's the most important thing, and it'll be 4 weeks on the 11th, and we still haven't decided where to go. What the fuck? Where to go? Where do we want to go? Pick a place. We got multiple places. Pick one place. Where do you want to go? And I will send it there. It's not 5900 stuff. It's not United Detroit stuff. It's Occupy Detroit stuff. Where do you want it to go?
We have had people who are being on track for a long time. But go to the other people who did this very quickly or quickly?
No, very quickly, it's saying that I think we agreed that one, we wanted to prioritize and we're still looking at places downtown that we weren't unopposed, and 700 is unopposed, and having some stuff like over there. Like I think that was always like
Jen, I have one set.
Yeah, what I have to say is actually an announcement, but I would also maybe like to use it as a suggestion. This is how we end our General Assemblies, with announcements. It's getting late, and a lot of the same things are beginning to be said over and over again in a great length, and I'd like to go home, and I'm taking 4 people home, and one of them is filming. So, the announcement that I have that I think is very relevant to what's going on tonight, I feel a bit awkward in ending or trying to end it with this announcement, but at the same time, I think it's so important. You may or may not know that tomorrow night there are 2 holiday parties. There's a holiday party that's being sponsored by the Food Committee at a Union Hall on Michigan. If I'm correct, it's the one that's closer to downtown, right near the Viaduct.
Yeah, almost to Clark Street. Michigan Clark.
And that's at 6 o'clock.
In conjunction with the United Detroit.
And at the same time, the Michigan Green Party and Michigan Welfare Rights are hosting a celebration party / fundraiser, $2 at the door, at Central United Methodist for us. And so what I hope many of you will do is what I'm going to try to do is to hit both of them.
What time is the one at?
6 o'clock. So I think there just hasn't been, as with a lot of things planned at the same time. I don't think there was anything intentional or divisive by either group that planned these events, which is why we really should try to show up at both. I know there's always been some mixed messages. There's some of us think that there's been some mixed messages from the church. More recently, towards the end, there's been some even more uncomfortable things. So let's try to bring it all back together and represent at both places.
Events, when we have events on the calendar, we have the whole media group that's getting messages, and a number of our media group is able to put those on a unified calendar. I really want you to look at this as like a unified calendar on the website. It's under events. It shouldn't be a mystery. Everybody should know that it's there.
and there are people that are watching those messages every day. We have a whole working group that gets the message. So, please, anytime that there's something that needs to go on that calendar, send an email over to ocdet-media@googlegroups.com. Everybody in our group will get it. Thank you.
I was just saying, like, I think that the reason why a lot of the behavior was around 1,500 so to be able to participate for Facebook discussion, and like, ending it, and maybe like, back Thursday,
Well, yeah,
It's actually going to be, my name's Dan. I was just going to say, if we have more meetings like this, I think we can all agree it would be great that there would be less people wanting to just be heard at GA.
Okay, this is a request to Unite Detroit group. Would it be possible that the group could draft a short press release that could be released maybe by Saturday that would like highlight what's been solved here tonight, and also if the group could elect a point person where all questions and concerns could be filtered through that person. It would be available by phone and online. Could that be announced at Saturday's GA?
I'll bring it back to the meeting that we're launching into straight out of here. This is another reason I think we'd all like to get out of here is like people at Unite are not by a long shot done with their evening. So the answer is that we're putting up the website now, just got our week pay up now. We just made the decision to form from an affinity group into a collective in the last few days. We're evolving. We do work rapidly. We will do the best to address your request. If it doesn't happen, please don't think we ignored it, but we're developing a whole pile of other shit that we're trying to get through so that we can smooth the rest of this mess out.
So Justice, Neil, Rick wanted to comment, and frankly, Frank was on the staff prior to Rick. Also, it's still a quick one, so Justin first.
Now this is just a response to more wing fire. If anyone could give me a I'll write down what we're setting.
What?
Down Woodward.
he wants to ride down.
Justin needs to write down.
I got you.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, real quick, just to, like, what I need from you guys so that these are more productive in the future, my original intention was to try to prioritize these to be as important as General Assemblies. If you could please go out and try to get more people to show up to these, because, I mean, we had a decent turnout, but for as upset as everybody was about all this, I was really hoping more people would be here. And especially, like, when I did the thing on Facebook to say, hey, you guys have been making a lot of noise about this, I'd really like it if you showed up. Most of them didn't. So, you know, if we're going to get it solved, I'd really like it if more of you showed up. So, and I'm really happy with how this went. I hope you guys are okay with the way I kind of facilitated this. And if not, well, I'm sorry. I did my best, but I just was not comfortable with the way General Assemblies were not getting this done. I think we've heard a lot of comments along the line of, you're right, I really wish we had more conversations like this, came from over this direction. He said the same thing, there were other people. And it's not a General Assembly, but we need to have an open conversation. And most of them are not, that's the thing. The way they're written up, they're going to be like 30 minutes for a topic, and then we move on, or we can get consensus to move on for another hour. There'll be lots of opportunities for people to get up and say something, and then be able to talk about that and ask everybody else to talk about that and give their feelings back and forth. And that's the actual system. It can also just be all just sitting around in open, discussion, just mingling, doing whatever. It doesn't need to be like that. That was it. I didn't feel that we were communicating enough.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, I just want to let everybody know that I've got the makings for a peaceful. I don't know if everybody knows what a peaceful is or whatever. It's more spiritual than religious, even though I am an ordained minister. I'm a Christian, but I studied the Jewish faith, Muslim, all that. I'm open to all this. This is more spiritual. It says in English,
made peace prevail on earth. And I picked 4 languages. English, the beginning, is Ojibwe, to honor the Indians that were here first, then the French, and if I did it correctly, it should have been Polish. Like I'm Rodriguez, so I'm Spanish, and I bought it for $1,000. I just want to leave it open, and if anybody else wants another language for $25, we can order Polish or Ukrainian, whatever language, and add additional pieces on this pole. I'm going to plant this pole. I heard a rumor that they're going to rename that park, Grand Circus Park, into Peace Park or something in honor of, I forget the gal's name, but, so this is really my own personal project. If anybody wants to help me with it, that's fine.
And that's Jerry on stack, and then just Frank with us next. Greg, you want to say any closing?
Like I said earlier, our communication is going to be very important among one another. So I agree. If we got some out of today's meeting, that's wonderful. But I know I think it's very wonderful that we sat here in a peaceful time and really understood one another at a good time. So, let's put that on into other people's ears so they can get on board too.
And positive rumors for one.
Okay, with this, first of all, I did not receive $4,000 from the union, but I am paying for the union tonight out of my pocket. So we need to devise a way where we can get back on board and use the budget that we were supposed to use for legal defense, for defense we never had because we didn't stay in the car, and use that money to pay for things that we need. Second of all, again, I will say, I got a bunch of stuff. I'm asking you all when you want it. If you don't want it, it's going to $5,900. So I need to hear feedback. Thank you. Food, clothing, blankets, jackets, warm pants. Stuff.
Yeah, can you come third?
I'm in the leader.
You can be right. I'm in sync first.
Hey, Chair.
Never mind. We're not going to make that decision here, correct?
No.
No, that's not our
It
decision
would actually be
today.
inappropriate for us to make that decision.
They're talking about bringing in some GA.
But one
Yeah, Ryder's been asking and asking and asking, like we're going to make a decision and take it.